Good morning, Rosemary. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Peter. Very well.
Thank you so much for joining us. So
That's
you,
okay. It's a pleasure.
yeah, thank you. We have a quite a big audience. So we have about 14 people in the room. So it's quite crowded in this Zoom room, but we're all very much looking forward to hearing from you. And I was just saying that
Well,
not long ago we had a chat ourselves on your radio show.
we certainly did. And hello, everyone. It's lovely to be part of your Zoom group. But yes, Peter and I had a wonderful conversation on lots to chat about, and it was terrific to hear about all the good work that he's doing, but lots of interesting projects and projects ahead as well.
And thank you very much for that opportunity. And I'm also interested in hearing more about your show and how that's been going for you. So is that called Lots to Talk About with Rosemary Peterswald?
Lots, lots to chat about.
Lots to chat about. If you type in lots to talk about, it's going to
Yes,
send you somewhere completely different.
it will. Yes,
Yeah.
you've got to type in lots to chat about with Rosemary Peterswald,
Okay. And
and that will take you to my YouTube site. But the actual conversations that I have with people will only go on there after they have been aired on 4RPH Reading Radio, which is available online, or 1296 AM,
hmm, and
and that's 6:30 on a Wednesday. That night.
right. Okay. And great. I want to hear more about that, but first, how did you get into how did you find yourself being a DJ? Was that, something that you
Not quite
always
sure.
wanted to be, or is that something that sort of just came to you one day? I mean, what's the story there?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. For many, many years, Peter, after I retired from my business in Hobart, and even during that time, I always read the newspapers for um, reading radios right around Australia. First of all in Hobart, and then in Canberra, and then in Brisbane. And last year, the year before, yes, I was reading the newspapers in Brisbane, but sadly I got diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Oh,
And getting up to catch the train from the Gold Coast up to Brisbane at sort of 5:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock was a little bit beyond me. So 4RPH and I sort of put our heads together, and we came up with the idea of having a talk show, which I could record at 12 o'clock or 12:30
mm.
midday. And I thought that was a great idea. I'd never done any radio work before. I was an auctioneer with my own real estate business for many
Mm.
years and have written, but that's sort of how it started.
And you do such an amazing job. I mean, you make your guests feel so comfortable, and you're very prepared as well. So as a guest, I can personally say that it feels effortless. I mean, you've really put the work in, and I think that makes a huge difference.
Look, I love doing the research for each of my guests, and yeah, I think it's important that I certainly know all about the particular guest. I've had a variety of guests on, as I think you're aware of. From my very first guest was General Sir Peter Cosgrove, who was the past Governor General of Australia.
Oh wow,
I've had
yeah,
Sally Ann Atkinson, who of
huh,
course was Lord Mayor of Brisbane,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and right down to Bonnie Hancock, who's a wonderful younger person who kayaked all the way around Australia and broke all sorts of records.
Amazing, amazing. What's it like being in the room with some of these huge personalities, some of these people that have really, done amazing things in their life?
Look, it's terrific. Peter Cosgrove, I'm sure you're all aware of, is one of the great raconteurs, and is so easy to chat to. I was lucky that my husband and my brother both went to RMC Military College at Duntroon, and General Cosgrove was there at the same time, although he was younger. So I have met him a couple of times
Mm,
over the last 60, 65 years. But and Sally Ann Atkinson is actually a very good friend of mine. But
Okay.
yeah, some of them are a little bit daunting. Gina Chick, who won Alone Australia, I actually interviewed her by telephone, so I didn't get to meet her. And but it's fun. It's terrific, and I think that's what we try to make it is great fun.
And also, what I love about reading radio is the fact that you guys, you really do believe in vision impaired and blind people, and you give them a chance. And there are some, vision impaired and blind people that work in your studio, like Paul Price, who is a producer there. So it's really great that it's a great initiative of you guys, I believe.
Oh, look,
And
it's terrific. Paul and Sparrow and whatever, they do the most wonderful job. And a number of my guests, I should point out, are sight impaired.
yeah.
In fact, last week I was speaking to Janelle Calhoun,
Oh
who
yeah,
of
yeah,
course
yeah.
was a finalist Blind Person of the Year,
Mm,
and that will be on in a couple of weeks. And she was just magnificent, and we play some of her music. I've had Reggie Bird on, of course, who is sight impaired, and Reggie won Big Brother not once but twice.
mm,
But she's been hit, of course, with a double whammy because she's got hearing problems now as well as
mm, mm.
being sight impaired. But no, I've had a terrific cross section of people on my show, and I'm in absolute awe what
Yeah.
people can do when they are sight impaired. It's amazing to watch Paul and Sparrow, work the what would you call it, the board or whatever in the studio. I sat in front of it for about 2 seconds and thought, my God, I can never do that. But they do it all so wonderfully, and of course with no sight.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That some of these, you know, brilliant people, when they've been given this what would seemingly be like tragic news, like, losing your eyesight or having other conditions. I mean that there's a time where I guess that person may feel like, oh, this isn't great. What am I going to do? But eventually, when they overcome that, and they sort of they get themselves out of that darkness, which is a real process. They start to do incredible things, and they start to inspire people. And I'm sure that you can speak to that. I know I can within these Zoom groups that you know uh, we are all capable of doing incredible things, even if we have been dealt a difficult hand. Is that something that?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, look, that comes across very much, Peter. I interviewed Carly Liddell, who, of course, is a Paralympian, and she is in a wheelchair. And it was it was inspiring to talk to her. But one of the things that does come across, and talking to Reggie Bird and talking to Carly Liddell, is that Australia has got to do so much more in order to help those people that have got disabilities of any kind, that there is still a tremendous amount. Because one of the things that Carney Liddell said, which I think is very important, and Reggie Bird said it, and in a newspaper article as well, is that they want to be employed. They want to feel useful. They want to be busy. And Australia is a little bit slow in recognising that. A lot of the boards that are around Australia for people with disabilities don't actually have people with disabilities on those boards. And that's one of the things that Carney Liddell was very, very adamant that should happen.
yeah, that's quite that's quite shocking to hear, really, because I'm a big believer that people that have a lived experience of disability, their thoughts and ideas, I mean, should be considered. I mean, there's a lot of there's a wealth of experience there, and there's a lot of ideas on how to do things in a way that is more inclusive for all people that have disabilities. And I mean, it's such a difficult issue, isn't it? Such a hot topic, so difficult to know what to do and moving forward. Do you believe personally that we're sort of on the right track, or what what would you like to see
Look,
happen?
well, I think what Carney says is so true, is that a lot of these boards should have somebody who is actually living the experience
Yeah.
of being of living with a disability, whether it be sight impairment or whether it be that you have to live in a wheelchair,
Mm.
and that people, yes, should be definitely inclusive and more understanding. As Carney said, she can't so many times she's been kicked off airplanes because they've suddenly decided, that her wheelchair has the wrong sort of battery or something. And,
Yeah, yeah,
not,
yeah.
she doesn't just inconvenience her, it inconveniences the whole plane. And then she gets to feel really embarrassed and the whole thing. So, look, I mean, there's so much more that can be done. I mean, it's not just Australia. I'm Irish, and although
Mm.
I've been in Australia most of my life, but I've gone backwards and forwards because my parents went back there to live. They're the same. Everybody's struggling a little bit, but I think we're certainly, hopefully, we're moving in the right direction. Put it
Mm.
that way.
And I think conversations like this, like the conversations that we're having, and making people more aware of what's really going on. I think that goes a long way as well. So if more conversations like this are had, and public opinion, I mean public awareness, sorry, is raised,
Yes,
and that we're more than likely to keep going down that that right path, the path of inclusion, of valuing, that shared experience of disability, and the knowledge that these people have. So I like to thank you for talking to me about this and helping that cause.
oh, look, it's an absolute pleasure. And I really do love doing the interview shows on 4RPH. So if any of your fellow people there on Zoom know of some inspiring people that they would like me to have a chat to, or somebody who's got an inspiring story,
Mm-hmm.
I would be absolutely delighted to have a chat. I don't. Not all of my guests are people with a disability. We talk right across the board. Jenny Old, who's the last person I'm about to put up on my YouTube channel, wrote a wonderful book about living in the outback called Back of Beyond, and that was sort of back in the 1960s. So that's a really inspiring story. So yeah, no, it's wonderful to be there and to
Yeah.
be in the studio with these guests, and it's lovely to be with you on your Zoom chat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that sounds very interesting, and I'll definitely be tuning into that one. And if you don't mind, would we be able to see if any of the participants here may have some questions for you? Because a lot of us,
Yeah,
we love listening to radio, and it's actually quite comforting. There's been a number of people I've supported in the past. They've always got a radio on in the background. It just creates that level of comfort and peace within people's
yes.
lives. And I'll go around, and guys, don't feel pressured. I might just pick a couple of people at random just to have to ask a question if they do have one. Kieran, I know, Kieran, you love listening to the radio yourself, and you're a big lover of music and interviews and audio books. Do you have any questions for Rosemary?
Yeah. What part of Ireland are your family from, Rosemary?
Oh, okay. Yes, no, I was born in Tipperary. It's a long way to Tipperary. I was born down on Lough Derg, which is on the Shannon River in Tipperary, and I came out to Australia in 1954 as an 8-year-old. I've actually written a book all about it called Can My Pony Come Too? And that's about coming out from Ireland as a family of 7 back in the 1950s. But yes, right on Loch Derg in Tipperary. Do you know Ireland at all?
Yeah, my dad's Irish, but he's from Northern Ireland. He comes from Newcastle, County Down.
Oh, okay.
And that's right near the sea. It's actually on the mountains of Mourne.
Oh, I have got a wonderful painting here of the mountains of Mourne here in my apartment. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. So say hello to your dad for me from a fellow Irish girl. Well, not a girl anymore, but an Irishman.
Yeah.
Lovely to chat to you.
Yeah, you too, Rosemary.
What about your? Thank you for that, Karen, and thank you for that, Rosemary. What about yourself, Chris Smith? Do you have any questions, Chris?
Yeah, well, thank you. Firstly, we really appreciate you coming on and giving us your experience of interviewing so many people. But is there one interview or conversation that really stands out, one that really sticks in your mind? And I guess the one that you might have learned a lot about a particular topic or someone's life, or some revelation that's kind of stayed with you through, all the interviews that you've done?
Look, the one that immediately, Chris, comes to mind, and perhaps because I've just been talking to Kieran, is I spoke to a wonderful Irish molecular scientist called Ian Henderson. And he went to Trinity College in Dublin and did all his training there. But he heads up the head of the molecular science department at Queensland University, but is a really world-renowned expert in molecular science. Now, I knew nothing, of course, about molecular science before I was to talk to him, so I had great fun doing a lot of research. But one of the things that he did discuss with us is the fact that the world now is becoming immune to antibiotics. And that is one of the major problems, particularly in large, communities, in African communities, etc., like that. But he was able to put a terrific, almost not totally humorous, but a bit of humor into discussing a topic, which of course is something that not many of us are aware of. So he was, Professor Ian Henderson, and he from the Queensland University here. So if you go on to my YouTube channel, Lots to Chat About, with Rosemary Peterswald, you will see Professor Ian Henderson there, along with all of the others, which are terrific. But Ian was opened my mind to something that I hadn't really thought about, and I'm sure a lot of us haven't really thought about.
I'll do that. That sounds really interesting, actually. Thank you for that.
That's a pleasure, Chris. A pleasure.
And thank you so much for your time, Rosemary. And I will post all those details about your show and YouTube channel underneath the video when I publish it. And I'm just really thankful that you're here, and I believe that you're on a way to a holiday now. I've been telling people you're on the road. You're on the road and off on a holiday. Is that about right?
We're going down. We lived in Tasmania for 35 years. So we're heading down to our daughter in Sydney for Christmas, and then driving down and catching the ferry across to Tasmania. But can I just say, Peter, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to have been with you. But could I also suggest that anybody that goes on to my channel, Lots to Chat About with Rosemary Peterswald, if they can share, subscribe. It's nothing to subscribe, but it's good to subscribe and share the chats that are of interest to you. Share it with people that could be of interest.
No
I'm
problem
sorry,
at all.
Rosemary. Sorry, we just had a quick question from Geordie. I'm not sure if Geordie wanted to read it out or not, but Geordie was just wondering, how do you get into radio as a blind person?
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
I can say that one. That's Tebany. She's my offsider today, and she's very helpful. And she was we had a question from Jordan, who's in one of my Zoom groups. and she was just wondering, how can a blind person get into radio?
Oh, how can they get into radio?
Yes, yeah.
Look, I would suggest that if they're interested that they ring Chris in at Reading Radio for RPH, go online, and they've got a wonderful site. It is called For RPH Reading Radio, and there are contact details there. Chris manages the station, and I'm sure that he would give advice as to where to go from there.
Thank you, and I'm happy to send those details through to you, Jordan, and I'm also happy to help anybody to subscribe if they need assistance, navigating themselves on the internet. So more than happy to do that too.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Rosemary, and I hope you have a really enjoyable holiday and Christmas and New Year's, and it'd be good to talk again sometime.
It would be lovely, and lovely to be part of it. And yes, everybody have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope 2025 is a great year for everyone. But thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all.
Thank you.
We're going to tell a couple of dad jokes. We're going to sort of spread them out because I don't think telling 10 dad jokes at a time is a good thing for anybody. So we're going to just tell a couple each. To start, so I'm going to introduce my sister. So good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Kelly.
So
Good morning.
yeah, feel free to share a little bit about yourself and
Yeah,
let's stuck
I'm
into it.
I'm Peter's younger sister, so he's quite a bit older than me,
Not
obviously.
that much older, only a couple of years. Come on.
We're lucky to have some good genes, though, so we don't have the grey hairs yet.
Yeah, we've got a couple of pairs of Levi jeans, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. No, it's already started. We didn't
Oh,
organise
there's
that.
the first for dad jokes right there.
This is unscripted. Yeah, this is good stuff.
But yeah, I live not too far from Peter, and I'm just in New Farm. I've got 2 daughters.
Aw.
So yeah, Peter's little one and mine get together and have a play, and yeah, they're great cousins. So yeah, pretty much sharing in the dad jokes quite regularly, Peter and I, because I'm a single mum, so I take on the dad role at home, so I have to take over that kind of side of things here.
And I must say you're a wonderful mother as well, and you're a very
thank
funny
you.
person, and I'm glad that we're sharing these dad jokes, and yeah, I think
Oh,
that yeah, it's
I
gonna
learnt
go.
from you. I learnt from the best.
I think we both grew up watching some very silly shows, which
Yeah.
I think added to our humor. So, growing up watching shows like, Round the Twist, which was on the ABC. I mean, that really crafted our humor, I think, for the rest of our lives. But yeah, let's do this. So I'm gonna tell the first one here. When I'm gonna change the wording on this. So when my wife is upset, I let her color in my tattoos. She just needs a shoulder to crayon.
Oh, yeah.
That's the response I was looking for.
I was once kidnapped by a troop of mimes. They
Get
did
out of here.
unspeakable things to me.
So here we go. I'm going to play the part of 2 characters here. So Dad and me. So here we go. So Dad says, my sister married an Irishman. I said, "Oh, really?" And my dad says, "No, O'Reilly."
I could see that coming a mile off.
And I can hear some laughter there in the background from Kieran, and Kieran is quite the dad joke connoisseur. Did you like that one, Kieran?
Yeah, that was a goodie, that one.
And one more from you, Kelly.
Yeah, oh, okay. So I can't stand people without feet because I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh,
That's a good one.
boy.
That's one that you don't really you hear, too regularly.
That's pretty good.
All right, our next guest. I'm really excited to talk to her. I've never actually spoken to her myself. So her name is Courtney Webeck, and she is the 2024 Blind Australian of the Year. And yeah, I'm really interested to speak to her. So good morning, Courtney. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, yourself?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So can we just start off by maybe hearing a little bit about you, who you are, what you do in day-to-day life?
Yeah, most definitely. So I've grown up on a cattle property in Gloucester in regional New South Wales, which is about 4 hours north of Sydney. I've always ridden horses and played netball, always been into sport.
Mm,
Then throughout high school, I did athletics across country, horse riding, every sport that I could possibly do from triathlons, anything that I could get my fingers on, I guess.
mm.
And then COVID, I guess, come into effect during my HSC, so no sport for those 2 years. And then I went to a Paralympic talent search in 2022 and found both tennis and cricket.
Mm.
At that, I started playing tennis, and then 6 months later, once winter had passed and it was cricket season, I had to go. Once the cricket season had come back around, sorry, for the summer, I started playing cricket and really loved the both sports and got the opportunity to go to Birmingham for the World Blind
Oh
Games,
wow.
August last year,
Yeah.
and got to play both sports, which was amazing. So
Oh,
yeah, I've done all that while being legally blind. I've got less than 5% vision, so my vision's pretty much, I'd describe it like looking through really thick fog across both lenses of my eyes. So
mm.
yeah, done that, and this year I was lucky enough to win Blind Australian of the Year, so it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely amazing all those achievements and for someone, to achieve those things without being blind is a huge thing. And congratulations. And I'm really interested to hear. I mean, how did you know that this Blind Australian of the Year thing was coming up? Did you know anything about it beforehand? Like, what was the process there? Did you sort of get an idea that you were nominated, or can you sort of talk us through that?
Yeah, well, I hadn't really heard about it, to be honest, and
Yeah.
then I got told I got the like a finalist pretty much. I got a phone call like the week before. So it was pretty hectic. I had just gotten back from Europe for I think I was over there for 4 and a bit weeks. So I've come back and I think the awards were pretty much the next weekend. So it was quite a quick process, and then two incredible other finalists that have done so much in this space. So I really didn't give myself a chance to win, to be completely honest. And
Mm,
then,
mm.
yeah, once the night had come, it was awesome to be in a room with so many great people, and then to win the award was awesome.
Yeah, and I must say that I was really impressed by your speech, and I was listening, and the one thing that sort of really got my attention is that you you took the focus off yourself and you started, talking about all the other people that were in the room and all the other contestants and all the other vision impaired and blind people that are doing great things. And that's such a humble approach to winning the award. And it's also such a great way to encourage others to continue doing what they're doing. So if I was wearing a hat, I would take it off because I just thought that was a classy act. Really, really well done there.
Ah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, what are your thoughts about you know bringing the vision impaired and blind community together? Do you think it's an important thing? Do you think it's something that we're currently doing, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I live, like I said, in a regional area. So I went through school and I didn't have anyone else with a vision impairment or really know anyone. I went to, I guess, Braille camp. Um, I think going into year 7 was probably the first time I met Molly Smith, and I think she was probably one of the first people I really clicked with, and we both can relate, I guess, with the vision impairment. And
Mm.
now there's another guy in Gloucester, he's totally blind, and he just played cricket for Australia in the Ashes. So I think more you look at things, you're going to find people with a vision impairment, and I think we all can relate in that one thing. I have a lot of friends out that don't have a vision impairment, but there's that one thing you can't really describe. You can describe it so much, and they'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, we get it," but then it's not quite as relatable as someone that does have vision impairment, even though that we're all probably a little bit different. But I think it's extremely important in no matter what the aspect is, whether
Mm.
it's across sport or music, education. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Like every single case is completely different. Like I have a condition called Stargardt's, which is a juvenile macular degeneration started experiencing when I was 7. But if I was to, I've been lucky enough to speak to some other people with Stargardt's, and they're handling it completely differently, in a completely individual way. And I think that for the general public, you know, who haven't sort of met vision impaired and blind people before, they can sort of find themselves in a similar position where there's the typical things that people say, like, do you have a guide dog? Do this and that. We've all heard it before. And sometimes, I mean, that can make us quite frustrated because maybe we've had a really long day, and maybe they're asking about our eye condition, and we just don't feel like talking about it for whatever reason. But I guess in some ways we are also educating the public. So it's best to take a deep breath, I guess, when we find ourselves in these situations, and sort of try our best to educate people that this is, yeah, I have this condition, this is how I'm dealing with it. We're all different, just like people that don't have any eyesight conditions. Uh, do you would you agree with that, or do you have different
Yeah,
thoughts?
most definitely agree. I think you look at someone in a wheelchair, it's a visual thing. They go, oh, they're in a wheelchair, etc. Same, I guess, if you've got a guide dog or a cane. I guess I've grown up in the same town, not much changes
Mm, mm.
through the street, so I don't use a cane. I guess at home I can't walk to the shops. We live about 15 minutes out of town.
All
Um,
right.
I live in a town with no traffic lights, so if that gives a bit more of a
Yeah, yeah.
visualization of how small it is. So
Painting a good
um,
picture there. Yeah.
there's a lot of people, and I guess being the guide dog's ambassador now, everyone goes, but you don't have a guide dog. But I think there's so much more to it. I guess also what the guide dogs do
Mm,
is not just support guide dogs and give people that accessible aid, but I think everyone goes, oh, if you're blind, you sit at home and do nothing. And I
mm,
think
mm,
it's a lot of people, whether they've gone and excelled in sport or music, or a lot of people, I guess, do law. No way I could be a lawyer, but there's so many different avenues to go down, and you could be someone who, I guess, I've always had my vision impairment, so I've known no different. But if you lose your sight, and I guess the license is a big one. If you're young, everyone getting their license and whatnot, you might lose that, and then you have to get over that hurdle. So I
mm.
think you've got to go out and still live that life. They're just the small little adjustments and stuff.
Yeah, completely agree. And in my own experience, and maybe some of our guests can speak to this, like I feel like in the last, even 10 years, I feel like the awareness of people with vision impairments, and those who are blind, has grown within the public. And I feel like there are more opportunities out there, in and which is a really good thing. I think that's a direction we want to definitely keep heading in. And which is leading to my next question. I mean, winning the Blind Australian of the Year, it's almost it kind of I don't know. It's almost like a responsibility, right? Because now you're seen as the like a very influential advocate for towards those who are vision impaired and blind. So, what would you say to somebody who's just experienced vision loss? Like it just happened today, maybe like a freak accident, maybe a condition, whatever it is. I mean, what kind of message would you want that person to hear?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I probably look at Lincoln, the guy from Gloucester, so he'd lost his sight maybe 10 years ago now. Don't quote me on that one, but he lost his sight and he always played sport. He played rugby league growing up and stuff, and then I think they need that outlet still to go, and if they've had something that they've enjoyed prior to losing their sight, whether it's like music or some skill, I guess they've had and a passion, I think they still need to find that passion. It could change. There needs to sometimes be adaptations. And I think I seen once he played cricket, everyone says how much he changed and for the better. It was so positive. I think he'll go to the gym. He had a home gym and whatnot, and
Mm,
really just found that passion. I think that's really important. When you lose your sight, or but for anyone, if they lose their sight or not, it's I think a really important thing to
mm,
have a passion and an outlet
mm,
in
mm.
life.
Yeah, and to have hope. I mean, it may not feel like there's any hope in the moment. Like I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was just, it really hit me hard because I had to move schools and make new friends and all the things that come with it. Just that feeling of loss. And there is a time and a place to be fully immersed in that feeling. And but I would like people to know that feeling will not be a forever thing. I mean, just keep trying, just try your best, just to be the best possible version of yourself, to be kind to yourself and to others, and eventually life will get better. And I can speak to that. And what about yourself, Courtney? Can you speak to that too? Because I know this vision loss you've experienced is it didn't happen that long ago. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I probably being born, I wasn't aware of it straight away, but I
Mm,
think that if even as parents, I guess my parents, it's the last thing you would think of when you have a baby and whatnot. But then I think when I kind of started to realize my sight was different to others, and I think especially in school you go through and you might have an iPad or different accessible aids, and the last thing is you want to stand out as a kid. Um, and whatnot, but you've
mm.
got to keep that hope that it's going to be okay and just push through. And I think it's really important the people that you surround yourself with to get through these hard times in a way.
Yeah. And I also think that we encourage people to be their best selves as well. So when they see us giving things a go and not letting our condition get the best of us, then they sort of lift their game a bit. And that's really interesting to see. So in that way, our vision impairments, being blind, whatever it may be, is kind of like a superpower in that way. So we are encouraging people to do better, and I love that. And if you wouldn't mind, Claudia, would you be comfortable if a few of the guys asked you some questions?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Sarah Stiles, would you like to ask a question?
Um, I've just enjoyed listening to everything that has been said. Um, Kind of reminded me of a few things in my journey, like how much I grieved my vision issues,
Mm,
especially because I don't know what to tell people what my vision issues are. But I found it interesting that I grieved that more than my other disabilities. That always confused me. But Just thank you for sharing your story, Courtney. I guess my question is, how do you like when your energy wanes, physically, mentally, emotionally, um, how do you keep that hope? I guess when you're young, the hope is just there. As you get older and your body starts to break down, it does start to disappear and it's harder. But how do you keep yourself on track and, look after that part of yourself?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I guess playing sport, in a way, I always try and stay active. There's times I take off, obviously, for recovery and after major international tournaments and stuff. But if I'm feeling down, I always try and go outside, go for a walk or do something positive. That could, even if the weather's not great, it could be putting a motivational speech on, finding one on YouTube, or I'm not a massive book reader and probably never have been. But I do love a good autobiography by different people. So I think finding positive things in a day. I read something a couple of days ago that your negative thoughts are carried over, 95% of your thoughts are carried over to the next day, and 80% of that are negative or something. So you're only making a small portion of new thoughts and how many of them are positive. I think that's really important to make sure the ones that are getting carried over each day are going to be the positive thoughts. So, um, yeah, just staying really positive. And I always try and have a goal, whether that be a 12-month one. I guess now I'm sitting here going, what are my plans for the next 12 months? But also just having that day-to-day task. And once you tick one task off, you kind of get the boost to go and tick another one off.
How do you find the right team, the right people around you? I'm 46 and I've been looking my whole life and I found it impossible. It's very easy now to feel like just not even trying anymore because I've tried for, um, 30 odd years. It's harder with multiple disabilities, like with bad health, it's harder, that's for sure. But like, where do you go to find the right team in order to be able to do these things?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think I've been really lucky. Well, I'm an only child, but my parents have been really supportive. So I think they're probably the rock and the base. And then um, through sport, I think I've been very fortunate to find some great people. Obviously, they're not 2-minute walk down the road. They're probably scattered across the country, whether it's Adelaide or Brisbane or Melbourne or in between. I guess some are probably overseas as well. But I think between that and even university, I've got some good friends that we can bounce off. I think, especially when it comes to exam and assessment periods, it gets stressful doing a lot of essays and stuff like that. But um, it does take a fair bit. I think in school I really struggled in that way, and I look back now, like I had friends, but then I had one best friend. I think that is really important. If it's probably more quality over quantity in one way I looked at it, if that makes sense.
Definitely, yes. That's so true.
Mm. Thank you for that, Sarah. That's a really great question and also a really great response, Courtney. Thank you. Just want to see if anyone else would have a question. Steve, what about yourself, mate? You have any questions for Courtney? Can be absolutely anything, mate. I mean, within reason. Maybe you'd like to, talk to Courtney about some of the sports you do, like you do park run. Do you want to mention that to Courtney? But of course, mate, whatever you'd like to talk about. Maybe what's Courtney's favorite food? It can be anything.
He like do all different things, keep
Yeah,
busy.
yeah. So do you like to keep busy, Courtney?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely like a break as well sometimes, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
keeping busy seems to be what I do between sport and uni. And I guess this time of year, everything seems quite chaotic. I turned 21 on Tuesday, so I
Oh,
think
happy
everything,
birthday. Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Everything seems pretty rushed at the end of the year, but I do like
yeah,
to keep busy. I think it's really important as well. I try and if I'm busy, I also then try and schedule
Yeah.
really important things. So whether if I haven't scheduled in training sessions and stuff, it's important to still have that outlet.
Yeah, that's good, right? We keep busy, do all the things, and
And what about yourself, Chris? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, just a question about. I know you're very much into tennis, which I've kind of dabbled in as a B1, um, just at a local level, in particular. But yeah, I'm just wondering where you see the sport of tennis in the coming years, because it seems to have grown massively just in the last couple of years compared to where it was, just with little local, hotspots here and there to now becoming pretty much a world sport. So yeah, just wondering where you see the sport, because I'm looking at getting more involved myself, but it just seems to have developed so much in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I guess the ultimate goal would be Paralympic Grand Slams, same as wheelchair.
Mm,
I
yeah,
do believe the classification standards, obviously excluding B1, that's the same across all sports, but the partial sight categories are not in line with Paralympic sports. So that would probably
right.
need a bit of an adjustment, but to make a Paralympics, but also saying that there are quite a lot of categories. You've got four, well, I guess four categories, male and female. That's a lot of players to put into a tennis tournament and whatnot. But I see it definitely growing. I think my first tournament I went to there may have been 30, and I think South Australia there was definitely over 50. And I think to see not just different categories grow, but B1 has grown so much. They've had male and female at the last tournament categories. As long along with women's tennis, I think the quality's grown not just in Australia but worldwide. So hopefully more international events. Obviously a bit tougher being Australia. We've got to travel so much further than I guess a
Yeah, of
Europe
course. Yeah.
just jumping across the border. But even Oceania Championships, maybe a Trans-Tasman Cup or something with New Zealand, and yeah, really, really getting the sport out there for more people.
Hmm.
Well, particularly, but I'm noticing the growth just this year in B1s as well.
Yeah, B1s have grown. It was the biggest category overseas, and then now it's got a tough competition there with B2 men. I think there were 14 at the last tournament, B2 men, but overseas it's every country. Argentina's, I think, probably leading the way with it. At the moment they have both the male and female world champions, but I think to see how much it's progressed and to see rallies come out of B1 tennis is pretty impressive.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. No, it is great to be a part of too, as a sport in general.
Yeah, great question, and very interesting to know about all these things. And it's exciting that it's continuing to get more and more popular.
Just had a question from Kelly. If
Oh
you just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
ask a question, Kelly.
Yeah, hi Courtney. I'm Peter's sister, and I was interested in your thoughts around like what would be your one message to sighted people and how they could support the blind community. Because I know for me, I live in inner Brisbane in Kew Farm, and the one thing that I see all the time is people leaving their e-scooters, those hire scooters laying around, and I always think about how much of a hazard they are. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
probably a
yeah.
big topic in the community. But is there something, I mean, it's probably not an issue where you live if there's not much,
Yeah.
there's not even traffic lights, but I was just wondering what's something you would like to tell the sighted community, I suppose, and how they could support people living with vision impairment.
Great
Yeah,
question.
definitely no e-scooters in Gloucester, sadly. It'd be nice to cruise around on one, save walking everywhere. It's a bit of a hilly town. So nice to have one of them, a lift up the hill. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think I noticed that especially when I go to Brisbane, Melbourne, the cities with e-scooters, there's stuff lying across there, or even tables with cafes on the street. They leave their chairs untucked.
Mm,
Pet hate of
mm,
mine, no matter if we're at a cafe or anywhere. But yeah, I think it's more focusing on what you can do to help people than what you can't do. Because like I guess our vision is limited, but then our potential isn't. So there may be small adjustments that we need to make, whether that's large print or just even having, I guess I use my phone so much because people probably don't notice it as much. I walk through the airport and I'll just pull it out and check what baggage claim area I'm going to, etc. So I think it's just all the smaller things that probably go unnoticed in a big way.
Mhm.
And I think traveling now, traveled over to Europe, it was quite easy to have a cane and we went through, I think probably Australia was the trickiest one to get through with the accessibility ways. But through the Middle East and Europe, it was, yeah, they all were right across vision impairment and knowing accessibility. And even when it comes to packing your bag up, I'm like to know where everything is. And then Australia's like, okay, move along. And over there, they're like, okay, we'll just wait until you finish. And I think just having that
Mm.
sometimes that little bit
mm.
extra time so you know if I shove it in my bag, I'm probably not going to find that for the next 6 weeks while I'm traveling somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. Thank you.
And that's a good point as well, that technology is getting better and better and becoming more helpful for us, and I'm really excited about where it's leading. I mean, it's a totally another that's probably another Zoom group to talk about those
Mm.
things, but are there any apps that you sort of use day to day, or like you said, even when you're traveling, that you could recommend?
Um, I normally camera is probably the one I use a fair bit, or seeing AI.
Mm,
Or I think I used ChatGPT a lot when I was over there. Actually, I'd ask it to just instead of reading out, you go to say a museum and there's a sign of whatever the sculpture or thing is, I would take a photo and it'd be like, this is such and such tomb and he passed away
mm,
here and this is what he did and stuff like that. And I think that was so much quicker than I think 12 months ago. I Googled everything and you'd have to sit there and read
hmm.
through a Wikipedia site that could be who knows how long. So to take a photo of something now and it just go bang, this is what it is. I found that really handy. Obviously, some places you go, you can't take photos or even have your phone out. So you're relying on someone else. And I think that
Mm, mm,
we went to a couple places over there in Europe and they're like, oh, you can't have your phone. I'm like, it's dark in here and I have
mm,
no idea anything I'm looking at. So I think those things are still a little bit of a step in accessibility wise. And
mhm.
a tour guide's probably not going to go into depth in every single thing you do. So that's when it probably can you take your phone and have that one adjustment to make it more accessible and more easier to know what you're exactly looking at than
Yeah.
assuming, I guess, in one way.
Well, I saw a post the other day, and and I haven't tried it myself, so I can't vouch for it. But there's been a lot of people in the community who have, and it's the Ray-Ban Meta glasses that you put them on, and they got the AI capability in them now, so you can literally ask them, what am I looking at, and it'd be so descriptive, like what you said about the tomb, and it'll even say things that you wouldn't think to say as somebody who's fully sighted who is describing something. So that
Yeah,
that
they
is a
I
game
had a go
changer.
at one of them in Adelaide at a tennis tournament. A couple of the guys had them on and they're like, "Oh, have a go at it." And yeah, they're really good. I think you're looking across the tennis court and describe who was over there and
Mm.
I guess from their description you could eliminate down to probably two or three people who it actually was. So better than probably getting your phone out looking like a
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
through your phone and
Um,
whatnot.
I love
Uh,
that you can read menus with them. Well, it's not fully like I've got the Meta Skylar glasses. Um, and I was using them the other day to try and read a menu at a cafe.
mm.
That was pretty cool.
This is Jordan, by the way, Courtney.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey. Yeah, I think that's really handy. I think I thought straight away, would that help with the menu? I think a lot of places you go now, I even notice it's dark and then everyone, I look around the room, it must be a general thing. More we stare at a screen, the worse our eyes get, they say. So you look around the room, people got their phone torch out and stuff. So I think it will probably come, it's a very great and accessible tool to come into play. Hopefully they can then translate. Languages would be good if we go overseas and need to try and read a Spanish menu or something. I'm not going to learn Spanish overnight, so
Yeah.
maybe they can be my assistive tool there as well.
Congratulations again for winning the Blind Australian of the Year, and I really think that you're doing great things for the blind and low vision community, and I wish you luck with everything that you're doing with your sports and your studies, and yeah, and I hope you have a great Christmas and a great New Year's, and thank you for joining us.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everyone has a great Christmas and a
Thanks.
awesome
Well,
2025.
yeah.
Thank you. Wow. How lucky are we, guys? Blind Australian of the Year. Steve, how was that for you, mate? Just inspirational, right, mate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a little bit, yeah. And
Yeah. And
it's very exciting.
yeah.
Very fun too, and it's very good, very good.
Yeah. So are we ready, Kelly, to tell a few more jokes? Do we have a Kelly in the room?
Yeah, sorry, I unmuted myself.
That's all good.
Why did my brother with a throat tickle bring a notepad to dinner?
Oh, why did my
Because every
brother?
time,
Sorry,
do
go.
you want me to
Yeah,
repeat it?
I hear Maple in the background. So Kelly's got a
Oh no, that's not Maple. Maple's asleep.
Oh,
Well, here
okay.
she is. I'll just introduce everyone to Maple. She's just got a hat on today. She's a poodle cross spaniel, so they call her a spoodle.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's so cute.
And she sort of has a haircut like Tina Turner, like a Tina Turner haircut.
A
Yeah.
sideshow Bob from The Simpsons.
Yeah. So very very curly, very sort of yeah.
Yeah, but she's wearing a bucket hat that I bought from a little local store the other day.
Okay.
There's an artist in New Farm who's opened up a shop, and she's just filled up the shop with all the things that she likes.
Mm.
And they have lots of little dog clothes and dog hats and cute things like that. So Maple's really enjoying wearing this hat today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll repeat that joke, Peter.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So why did my brother with a throat tickle bring a notepad to dinner?
Hmm.
Because every time he tried to talk, it came out a little scratchy.
Oof.
Oh.
Yeah.
I tried to use, get this, guys, get this. I tried to use beef stew as a password, right? But it wasn't stroganoff. It wasn't stroganoff.
Oh.
Good one.
Yes. Back to you. Back to you, K-Dog.
All right, here we go. I have a bunch of jokes about unemployed people, but sadly, none of them work.
I
like
like
that
that.
one.
I like that. Our next guest is a all-round good guy, brilliant jazz singer, advocate for bipolar, and I'm just really looking forward to this chat. So can we please welcome Pete Vance? Good morning, Pete.
Morning, Peter.
Hey there. Hey there, Peter. Can
How
you
are
hear
you,
me?
mate? Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Listen to
Oh,
that
that's a
voice.
worry.
Listen to that crooning voice.
It's a worry. Loud and clear. Yeah, I've been on the butterminthes.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
Oh, it's been a great. I've been, yeah, tuning in and listening. It's just been amazing, the stories and things that have, and the questions, and oh, just everyone's honesty and willingness to share, Peter.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
credit to you, mate, bringing it all together.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thanks very much. No, it's the guests that I really appreciate being here, and that's making it what it is. And I think the what we all share in common is that, you know, we do want to inspire people, and we do want to you know, get, you know, allow people to feel like a sense of hope through listening to these life stories of you know, all these wonderful people. And which
Yeah, I
leads
think
me to you know, to my first question for you. I mean, who is Pete Vance? I mean, how did you get
yeah,
into singing? You know, can you give us a bit of a overview of all that?
yeah, yeah. No, I I guess I've always been a performer. I've loved performing all my life. I think back in the growing up in Melbourne, back in the late 40s and 50s. Whoa, what's he talking? How old is this guy? Yeah, no, yeah. It's yeah, no, I always Dad had we had a garage with a sort of semi-stage in there, and every holidays we put on a concert. And I think I would mime records and things and have the tennis racket out like a fake guitar. And
Yeah.
I can remember there was a great song by Johnny Ray. He probably may not know. It was called "Walking in the Rain," and I can remember having a mate with a hose and stuff behind me, and I said, you know, just a little squirt, and anyway, he let it go full bore. And one of the neighbours sitting in the front row, she got drowned. But no, I've always loved performing, and Mum was a violin teacher and a piano teacher,
Hmm.
and she tried to teach my older brother and myself piano, but my older brother was always had his head in a book, and I was always out either chasing footballs or girls, and so that didn't work. So Mum actually sent my younger brother to a private teacher, and he's a great jazz musician, and I've recorded with him. But for me, someone gave me a guitar when I was 13, and yeah, I just started playing and singing, and then at college formed a band called the Sleepless Nights.
Oh, great name. Yeah.
I think it was the other people in the college. They they always complained when we were rehearsing they couldn't sleep, so that was where it came from.
The inspiration. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've always just loved music, and I guess the other joy was probably 97 when I joined Access Arts and got my first opportunity to write a song,
Mm.
which was called "Welcome to My Day."
Hmm.
And, it was inspired back then during Disability Action Week. They sent those. Remember those little cameras, the little Insta cameras, which take photos and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah. Well, they sent them out to members who are living out in the country and asked them to take some images of their day, the sort of thing we're talking about. Just how was life for them, and that became a big um, what do you call it, exhibition at Central Library in the foyer, and it was called Welcome to My Day, and it was all these beautiful big images. That
Wow.
inspired the name of the song,
What a great
and then
idea. Yeah.
we took it to a festival in Japan,
Mm.
um, and yeah, got a big applause from the crowd, and said to our director afterwards, "Gee, we must have sung that well." The crowd went really wild. She said, "Oh no, the reason they got excited, they thought you were Kenny Rogers."
Sorry, you're not Kenny Rogers? Tell us more about Access Arts, because some people might not know what that is.
Access Arts, Access Arts Queensland
Mm.
is the yeah, arts organisation for people experiencing disability or disadvantage. It's been well, I think 45 years.
Mm.
Yeah, we celebrated the 40th anniversary a few years back, and it was oh, just it was yeah, a great organization where back in those days we had our um when I joined them, they were actually at the Nunda City Hall, and then we moved to the Brisbane Powerhouse
Hmm.
and occupied the part of the stores building there. But anyway, Access Arts has, yeah, been just was life changing for me because
Mm.
I think the year 95, I'd had my background actually is my profession was an agricultural scientist.
Oh,
And
okay.
I worked I grew up in Melbourne, studied agriculture there, and then with my darling wife Marilyn and our 1.5-year-old daughter, we went to Papua New Guinea for 10 years. So we lived on the equator. And, that's a place, two of my kids were born there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I always, music followed me wherever I went. I had bands there. I played at my band played alongside the Royal Australian Navy Band at Papua New Guinea Independence Ball in 1975. So that was a big, big thrill. Um,
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
yeah, but then I moved back to Australia and didn't want to go back to Melbourne. It was too cold.
Yes.
Ended up in Ingaroy, which has 40 frosts a year, we found out. It's colder than Melbourne.
Oh no.
But
Yeah.
I still continued music and then had the opportunity I'd done a couple of master's degrees and I had an opportunity to do a PhD at the uni. Sadly, my sight was decreasing rapidly then,
Mm.
and I just couldn't keep up with things. I was under pressure. I was working for three different organisations.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
project. It was looking at sustainable beef grazing across Queensland, um, but ended up yeah, I had a big breakdown, and luckily I'd been treated for depression, and that
Mm.
wasn't working. And end up had a big psychotic episode. I can remember my I was sitting in the front seat, and my son was driving. I was sitting in the front seat. My brother was sitting in the back seat, holding my shoulders, trying to keep me stable.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
remember we pulled up at the intersection at Toowong there, and I remember jumping out of the car and directing traffic with my cane.
Wow.
That's how
Yeah. Yeah.
psychotic I was. I
Yeah.
was really off the planet. So luckily, when I arrived at the New Farm Clinic, they realised I'd been misdiagnosed. Instead of having depression, I in fact had bipolar disorder, and they put me on the amazing life-saving drug of lithium. Yeah, no, it was so then a couple of months in rehab, I was not. Yeah, not I was off the planet for a while.
Mm.
And then yeah, took a couple of years rehab. I actually joined Toastmasters, so I was able to start telling stories. And I had a half-hour show which premiered at La Boîte Theatre, Shock of the New Festival. Then I took it to a festival in the High Beam Festival in Adelaide.
Hmm.
That's where I met the then Liz Navratil. She was a lovely comedian, stand-up comic. She was the president of Access Arts, and over a few wines, we got to know each other during the course of the
Yeah.
festival.
As you
So
do.
when I
Yeah.
came back to Brisbane, I joined Access Arts and have been with them. I'm a life member now, so I've been with them for yeah, for almost 25 years, 25, yeah. So they're life changing for me. And
Mm. I've mentioned a couple of times whilst I was promoting this event that you have experienced you do have bipolar and you do advocate for I guess taking away the stigma with bipolar and I guess a lot of us don't really understand what it's all about. And like I guess it could be similar in a way that like what Courtney and I were saying is that it could be different from one person to the next. So Is that something that you're sort of that's in your thoughts? Are you trying to take away the stigma? Are you trying to make people, I guess, more aware of what bipolar is and the different kind of treatments that are out there?
Yeah, I think so, Peter. And I I guess I've coined the phrase for me, instead of bipolar disorder, it's bipolar in order.
Love it.
I guess for me, when I think about it, I really came out strongly about bipolar in order when I was asked to speak briefly at the Access Arts 40th anniversary, which was just a couple of years ago. So really, I'd sort of hidden my bipolar to some extent, even though I've got a great relapse prevention plan. I've got all sorts of things in order,
Mm,
but to help me manage and live with it. But really, I hadn't told anyone about it. I hadn't spoken openly about it.
mm, mm.
My kids know, and my great support. And I think that's another thing that Courtney said. I've always had great specialist
Yeah.
and family and community support.
So
Where,
important. Yeah, so
where
important.
when I was in New Farm Clinic 30 years before, and I could not speak. I was incoherent. There was nothing coming out, but I used to write lots of stuff thinking I was quite clever. And
Mm,
I wrote this, I'm looking for words to describe how I feel. And I was really proud of this statement.
yeah.
I couldn't speak. And I showed it to my wife, and all these little clever phrases. I'd often get her to sign off thinking, gee whiz, this is good. This is going to be a book. So that was when I realized, looking for words to describe how I feel, that statement made me think about bipolar disorder and thinking about, hang on, I am here. I'm actually going to speak about this. I want to speak about this. So that's when bipolar in order
Mm,
came to my mind. And I guess living with it, it's interesting. Hear Courtney say she needs to have a bit of time out.
yeah. Yeah.
For me, and at the moment, I guess I'm excited. I'm talking to you guys. It's fun. I'm probably slightly manic, but that's okay. I'm
Mm,
being very engaging, but I know probably when this ends, I'll probably have a cup of coffee. I'll
yeah.
sit down and I'll chill out for a while. It's a matter of balance so that I guess for me, how I understand my bipolar is, if I have three very positive, unrelated experiences, and and they go, somehow or other, they can get out of control, and I can just quickly cycle within minutes into a psychotic phase where I'm on top of the world, I'm floating over it and everything. On the other hand, if I have three very negative experiences, I can feel quite down. And unless I manage it or understand that's what's happening and have a rest, have a bit of, I call it time out within,
Mm,
unless I make that decision, I can spiral right down and within hours be quite depressed and isolate myself and not want to do anything. But for me, I'm lucky that I understand how both phases work for me. But the two most important things
mm,
was, if I'm asked, and when you're a bit manic, and we all have this problem, whether you're a bit manic or not, or have bipolar or not, that often you take on too much stuff
mm, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
because we like to say yes. And so one of the rules that we worked out with my psychologist was that, um, if when people ask you to do something, um, if you've got the time, if you've got the energy, if you've got the skills, and you really want to, the answer to any of those is no, then you think twice about doing it. And I think often for me in the past, I've probably, um, not had the skills to do some of the things I've taken on, like doing a PhD when I was going blind. That was
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
not a very wise choice, but anyway,
Seems like a good idea at the time.
and the other, so if any of those are no, then think again. The other thing is if someone rings you on the phone and asks you to do something or something really exciting, what you can say is, when do you need to know by? Rather than
Yeah, giving yourself a bit of space to make that
saying
decision.
yes
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
because often they're just ringing up to check on you, see what do you think or whatever.
Mm.
And if you say, when do you need to know by, that gives you time and space and makes them think a little bit about, well, I don't really need to know till Tuesday. So, you don't have to worry about it now. You can factor it in. So there are just a couple of little rules that I use in managing day to day. And I remember one night, after the first big episode, and when I finally got home, I remember one night realizing that Marilyn had got up, and I went out into the lounge, and she was in tears, and she said, she said, losing your sight, because she'd been my great support with that, losing your sight was just a walk in the park compared with this. The first CBT stuff I did was at New Farm Clinic, was very robotic and not much. But then I linked in with a Chinese guy at my specialist, put me onto this guy, and we used to. It was a group sessions, and that was really life changing for me, just to get to understand that the behavior, your behavior and your mind, sort of the linking, and just to arrest the negativity which was influencing things. And I now have a very low dose of a mild antidepressant, and that's a daily dose, and that'll be fine.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know it's quite a personal thing to talk about. And I guess the one of the big reasons why I've tried to put this Zoom group together this morning is to inspire people and to invoke hope. So should people that have, it's a silly question, I already know the answer, but I want to ask you anyway. Should people that have bipolar also have hope?
Oh, exactly. But correct early diagnosis and proper treatment, and then certainly support, community support or whatever. And I guess just even people being involved in your group discussion is so important, Peter, and really appreciate that and the opportunity to share a little bit. Yeah.
No, thank you. That yeah seems to be key. So just having a really positive and professional network of support, yeah, most definitely will go a long way. And I wanted to continue our conversation by sharing a story with you, Pete.
Yeah.
So I've been very lucky that you've supported me a few times within my career. First, you came to Vision Australia and you performed for myself and my clients. We had a Christmas lunch together. You then went on to
That was
perform.
lovely.
You then went on to perform at a barbecue that I put on at Link Vision, a Beyond Vision barbecue, which was absolutely amazing. And you've done an outing with me too, where you sang for my clients. We had fish and chips together at Sandgate. But the story I want to share with you is that you invited me and my wife and my son to the Brisbane Jazz Club because you were performing with I think it was called was it the Brisbane Big Band? I think
Yeah, I was a guest artist with them.
yeah. And I just thought you're such a class act and you handled it so well. You and your wife, you went around and you were greeting all the people that were there. You were shaking people's hands and talking to us all. And my son, he can be quite sensitive to loud sounds and music. So there was a few times where he's like pulling on my arm and saying, "Okay, let's go outside and it's a bit quieter out there." And I did that. But there was a moment where we came back in and he took his headphones off and you performed my wife's favorite song. So you sang Georgia by Ray Charles,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
we all just sat and we listened, and we just we enjoyed that, so much. It was a beautiful moment that I'll never forget. So I really thank you for doing that, and maybe that could lead into you singing a couple of songs for us
Yeah.
before
What,
we greet our next guest, which I see he is in the room. So
oh, wow.
would you feel comfortable doing that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I just, yeah, I'll just did a great version of that.
Hey, are you at the butcher now? Yes. He's actually put aside 3 packets of bacon for me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. But hang on a minute. Yes, I would like.
Sorry, but that's the wonderful thing about Zoom. You you get a glimpse of other people's lives whilst you're in the middle of a meeting. And can I please have some bacon as well, and maybe a ribeye fillet, if you can
Oops,
manage it.
sorry, I thought I was on mute. My mum called. She's at the butcher.
Oh, good, oh,
Sorry.
good. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'll have mine medium rare. You do the deliveries, don't you? I
Yeah, of
mean,
course, all the way to Sandgate, right?
I'll just sing one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, oh, where's that honey and what was it? What did you have with the honey? A bit of rum, was it, Peter?
Hey, hey, I told you that in private.
Yeah. Uh, oh, a good one. A good one. I think I often sing it at your events, Peter, is "Oh Lord,
Mm.
it's hard to be humble when they call you a VIP."
Yeah, I love that song.
Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror. It's somewhere over there, they always say. To know me is to love me. As blind as a bat, can't you see? Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when they call you a VIP. Now, when I was just a small baby, I had blue eyes and lovely blonde hair. Whenever my mum took me walking, people stop in the street to stare. They said to me, ma'am, I'm flattered, but I really don't think I could go. No, sorry. I just don't know.
Keep going. You're doing so good.
I'm
It's
just
coming
trying to.
through beautifully.
I know, yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah.
When I was just a small baby, I had blue eyes and lovely blonde hair. Whenever my mum took me walking, people stop in the streets to stare. The ladies would take me and hold me and cuddle me close to their breast. Now that I'm older, they still do the same, 'cause they know when they've got the best. Everyone. Oh Lord, it's hard to be
Be
humble
humble
when you're perfect in
in
every
every
way.
way.
I can't wait to look in
Look
the
in the
mirror.
mirror.
It's somewhere over there, so they say. To know me is to love me. As blind as a bat, can't you see? Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when they call you a VIP. Now, next year I've been called to the palace. They'll be handing out King's birthdays awards. They asked me would I consider taking a seat in the Lords. I said to King Charles, "Sir, I'm flattered, but I really don't think I could cope. I've just had a call from the Vatican. I'm to be the next Pope." Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror. It's somewhere over there, so they say. To know me is to love me. As blind as a bat, can't you see? Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when they call you a VIP. When they call you a VIP. Why?
Oh yeah. Come on, guys. Round of applause. Oh my goodness. This man's got talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear the echoing applause throughout Zoom
Oh,
land.
okay. Oh, yeah. Wow. It's all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, mate.
No,
Anyway,
thank you, and thank you for being one of my special guests, and you know
always.
you're doing great work for the community, and we all appreciate it, and I you know continue, just keep being you, and I'll just open the floor up just for a couple of questions because I am mindful our mystery guest from the US is here.
Yeah.
One of your biggest fans was in the room though, and I just want to see. Um, I mean, if you'd like to give you a question, Kieran, you there, mate? Would you like to ask Pete a question?
Yeah, so
Hey,
have
Sarah.
you got any upcoming gigs or shows that like in the new year or
Yeah.
coming up?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Kieran. Yeah, I've got actually with my big band, my own big band, Grassroots Live. We're doing the closing show at the Jazz Club on Sunday, the 22nd. So that'll be a great Christmas celebration. And then in the new year, I've got I think it's Friday the 14th of February. We're at the Maritime Museum. We do a Twilight Jazz thing there. That's really great. That's from sort of 5 till 7. And then,
Dad down to the club, love. I'll be back in 10 minutes, okay?
yeah, that's fine. And then don't forget medium rare. And then
Yeah.
I'm up to the Jazz and Blues Collective up in Maroochydore with my other band, Mark Pradella Band, in March. But always plenty happening. Yeah, lots of fun, Kieran. Yeah, how about you, mate? You getting out singing a bit?
Yeah, every Sunday we have because I live at Fanning Grove, and every Sunday we go over to the Arona Leagues Club,
Lovely.
Arona Hills there, and every week have a musician that comes, and
Yeah.
he brings his guitar, and everybody to sing along, and
That's great. There's
and
nothing like singing, singing together and celebrating community. It's beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
One more question, and then we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
Chris, over to you. I believe you've known Pete for quite a bit.
Oh,
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah. In fact, Pete was one of my first significant interactions when I was in the Access Arts Choir. So, and that was obviously a lot of fun, along with David Trung, who a few people may know as well. Obviously a big character, Dave, that's for sure,
Yeah.
and also done so well in music. I guess it's more commentary than a question, Pete. Every time I see you, I'm always inspired by your enthusiasm and your love of music and your encouragement of people. So, I just wanted to just kind of, and obviously we've heard some of that today in your address to the Zoom group. But yeah, I just want to express my appreciation of that. You're always universally encouraging people in terms of whatever their endeavor is, and I particularly seen it in relation to music. Certainly my singing as well, and I'm starting to get back into that a bit more finally after kind of having a bit of loss of confidence in that area. But I've joined another choir and may even think about coming back to Access Arts again. But I've always appreciated your universal encouragement and just your positivity towards music and people in general.
Yeah, it's a great. It's a joy. It's a joy for me to Chris, and I think like anyone involved in life, more comes back than what you give, and you just got to, it's just a joy. And I guess one sort of I tend to one of the little quotes that Marilyn had to put up with when I was pretty psychic was no, I think it's a very, very important one, and it helps us move forward, like Courtney was talking about and the others. The history is just the museum through which our minds wander. I live for today, learn for tomorrow. And, that's sort of one of the little things that floats around in my head occasionally, not too
That's
often.
such a great saying. That needs to be on a t-shirt, and we can talk about that later. And thank you, Pete.
Thanks,
Stay in
Thanks.
touch, mate. We all appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing Christmas and New Year's break.
Yeah, you too, Peter. Yeah,
All
thanks.
right. See you, mate. What did you think of that? Did you enjoy that interview?
Yeah, very interesting.
Mm,
It's lovely to hear other people's stories. I think that was great.
yeah. So yeah, we're gonna keep moving, and we'll tell one more joke, Kelly and I. Over to you, Kelly.
I don't know if you knew this, but the man who invented throat lozenges died last week.
Oh no, what happened?
And it was just really unfortunate.
Mm,
There was no coffin at the funeral.
no coffin at the funeral. Tebany, can we cue some laughter, please? Well, did you guys read about this or hear about this story? I couldn't believe this. Did you hear about the kidnapping at school? Yeah. He woke up. So did you hear about the kidnapping at school?
Oh, wow.
He
Oh,
woke up.
it took a couple of seconds.
All right. No more jokes. Thanks for sticking in there,
Got
hanging in there, guys. I appreciate that. Here we go, guys. Our mystery guest from the US. He hosts the podcast. And if I say what the name of the podcast is, I'm pretty much going to disclose who he is. So let's just do that. It's Aaron Richmond from Aaron's Opinion podcast. Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Well, I am well. Good day, mate, over there down under. And yes, I've been listening for a while there. All very interesting, beautiful music. Definitely my personality. So good to meet all of you. Um, Peter is right. I am Aaron Richmond, host and creator of Aaron's Opinion. Basically, in one or two sentences, Aaron's Opinion is the podcast for blind people and really anybody else where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. I've been podcasting since 2020, since the height of the pandemic, and going strong. So we have guests and listeners from all over the world, even Australia. So,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
questions do you have? Let's go around the room down there in Australia. What's going on?
All right, I like this. I like the direction this is heading in. So let's just ask the guys if they've got any questions. Starting with
I
you,
have
Chris.
one. Oh, Chris.
Sorry, Jordan. Let's start with you.
So how did you actually get into podcasting? Because I'm looking into doing podcasting, so I want to know,
Absolutely.
like, if there was struggles into getting into it and the process, and also what platforms is this podcast on?
Absolutely. Nice to meet you, Jordan, right? Your name is Jordan, right?
Yes.
Good to meet you. Sure. Well, what was really going on is, so I'm blind. I'm 33 years old, right?
Ooh.
And I'm in the eastern United States somewhere. And the cause of my blindness is glaucoma, and I also have a congenital heart defect. I'm a teacher. I'm bilingual English French, and I do a lot of different things in my life to keep busy, as we all have to do. As you all were saying, it's important to stay overly active and overly busy, even with all of our challenges and things. I was listening to a lot of podcasts around the blindness space, but you know what, Jordan? They just were not open to my opinions. And I can't shut up. If you put me in front of a microphone, I literally won't shut up. You'd have to unplug the microphone to get me to stop talking. So I wanted to create an environment. I wanted to create a place where anybody like you and Peter and hopefully all of you here in this room to whom I humbly admit I really have no idea who you are, but I know you all are wonderful listeners of Aaron's Opinion, hopefully, and hopefully in the future some of you will be wonderful guests. So I wanted to create an environment where you can come up to my microphone and talk about what you need to. Talk about what's going on in the universe, what you want to get off your chest. We don't always talk about blindness stuff. Rarely we do, actually. We just talk about life. We talk about love. We talk about the universe. We talk about work. We talk about everything. So that's kind of the environment. I would say the best way to find, well, we're on every platform you can imagine. We are blessed and lucky to be on all the main podcast players. Yet, Jordan, I would say, I'm maybe Peter can help us out on Facebook Messenger. I would say the easiest thing would be if Peter would like, he can create a messenger conversation with me, you, and anyone else who's interested. And then I'm more than able to send my blurb. I have a blurb where I say, here's all the plugs. Here's how you plug into what I do. And that would be the easiest and least painless or least painful way of finding out all the plugs that you need. Absolutely, Jordan. Great to meet you. Great question. Who's next?
We could definitely set that up too, Jordan.
Please,
Awesome.
Just to give you a better idea,
Sure.
Aaron. So in the room we have Steve, Kieran, Alex, Chris, Pete Vance, who we just heard from, Jordan. My wife is the co-host. She's now making sure that the train doesn't come off the rails, and myself. But this will also go up on YouTube, and so hopefully we'll get a greater audience, which will, I hope, bring some people to listening to your podcast, which would be really great, as well as
Absolutely.
guests. So let's go on to see if anyone else has a question. Kieran, what about yourself? What question do you have for Aaron? So it could be about his podcast. It could be about what America is like to live in as a vision impaired or blind person. Like whatever you want, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, so like have you would it be very cold over there at the moment? Because I know that you're in middle of winter now, and have you started? Has it started snowing there yet?
Yeah, good day, Kieran, right? Kieran, good to meet you, mate. Absolutely. So I'm actually in the southeastern United States, in part of the country where it doesn't snow. And although people say that it's cold on Christmas and it snows on Christmas, it really doesn't. And only if you're up in the far north of the country, it would. And it doesn't snow every Christmas. So there's a lot of green Christmases in America, believe it or not. Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, I
Right.
guess we're just trying to get a general idea of if it is cold or if it's not where you're living. Because
Let me
yeah,
put it let me put it like this, mate.
yeah,
It's to you, you would say it's mild. It's like a mild spring day. To you,
yeah.
it's not cold.
Okay.
It only gets no, it's fine, because a lot of people have that idea of watching Home Alone and seeing the snow come down outside. It
Yep.
really doesn't, though, because that part of the country, up in the far northeast and the far northwest, the Pacific Northwest, up in the Arctic regions, it does get that cold. But there's a lot of different, just like there in Australia, right? There's a lot of different biomes and a lot of different environments. You can have parts of our country that are very hot, just like in
Yeah.
Australia,
Yeah.
and you have parts of the country that are painfully cold. You have mountains, you have rainforest, you have tropical kind of swamp, a marshland, right?
Yep. Yep.
Right.
I guess it's similar to like with some Americans may have the idea that we're all sort of wrestling crocodiles and stuff like that, and it's just I guess the perceptions that we get of each other's countries, which is really interesting and can
Yeah, I don't
sometimes
know
be
where.
pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys. I don't know why you guys have all these wrong ideas about America. What are you guys doing? Watching TV? Stop watching TV. Okay? Stop getting all these weird ideas. Your country's weird
Yeah.
enough, man. You guys are weird enough. You don't need to watch American TV.
Hey,
You do
speak for
you. You have
yourself.
enough problems.
All right, let's see who else has a question. Alex, I know you're just sort of listening in and enjoying yourself. I'm hoping, but do you have any questions at all for Aaron?
Oh, yeah, listen, it's great to listen in and listen to all the other questions that's going on. It's terrific. The only thing is, you come up with the statement first off saying from down under. Are you really sure that we are down under?
Well, I don't know. Australian people always think I'm up over. Are you really sure I'm up over? How can you tell if I'm up or over? And if I'm over, what am I over?
We've only been told that the Earth, the North Pole and the South Pole. Which way are we really?
Well, how am I supposed to know? I don't know. I'm in the up over country. All I know is I'm up and over, and all I know is that you supposedly are down and under. Okay, that's all I know. I've actually
Aaron,
never,
you
Well,
thought this
we've
was going to be
never,
an interview, but it's actually going to be a roast. I'm sorry to say.
that's actually
it's
why I
good, Vance.
came. That's actually why I came.
Yeah.
No, Peter, I definitely have that roast person. What, you thought I can't play? Come on, Peter. You know I can
I know
play
you can
hard.
play. I know. I love your sense of humor, man.
But one thing, well, we'll get used to. Oh, really? Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Oh, really? But one thing all Americans know about Australia is that you have a wonderful country, and I would love to come. I love. By the way, I'm a snake lover. I'm pro snake. I love snakes and lizards, and I love snakes. So I love all the Aussie snakes, But one thing I've heard is that it's a very long flight. I've heard that was a complaint from my father. He came down there on business a few years back, towards the end of his career, and he said the flight was so long.
Let's see who else would like to ask a question. What about yourself,
Hey,
Chris?
Pete,
Yeah, mate.
I have to go in like 5 minutes because I
Yeah.
need to go and get ready to go out. But in all of your podcasting career so far, are there particular topics that are recurring topics that keep on coming up? And obviously, there's always politics, like that's always lurking in the background. And
Sure.
we've heard all about that over here this year. But is there particular hot button things that keep on coming up and invoke the most controversy and passion and discussion?
Well, basically, anytime I open my mouth, I'm a controversy. That's the first thing you have to know about me. I'm a very controversial figure in the United States, probably one of the most conservative people in the country, and definitely one of the most skeptical, and definitely one of the oddest, definitely one of the biggest characters in the country for sure. But overarchingly, what I have repeatedly noticed and what I've repeatedly felt around the world, these vibes around the world that I'm getting, is that people truly need to have conversations, right? We need to come together on Zoom. We need to have these talks, and people need to come to podcasts, because I find that it truly helps people to have a good day. And we need to have these conversations. So I've covered everything. I generally know to solve the dilemma. No, I really don't talk about politics much. And thank you for asking. And the reason I don't is because I try the only thing that I won't do on my show is I refuse to divide the nation that's already divided. Now, whether you specifically knew it or not, which I'm sure you were well aware, America, probably similarly to your country, is a highly divided and highly the words escaping me now. It's the end of the day, but is a very what rats? What's the word? Divided. Our country is highly
Like
divided.
polarizing, maybe? No?
Polarized.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Polarized. Our country is highly polarized right now, and I mean, I'm doing fine with my career. I'm doing great, but our country as a whole, just like any other, is not well. So I try to avoid the only thing that I won't do on my show is I refuse to talk about anything that I feel will divide our country further. And outside of that, I'll talk about anything that comes out of my mouth. So basically, almost no topic is off limits. It would take a lot. Let me put it this way. It would take a lot for me to say, I'm not talking about that. I've said it before, but it would be very infrequent. Mostly though, people come and they want to share their life journey and what's going on in their lives or their work or just what's going on. I've had a lot of people who talk about their spiritual journeys and different experiences in life and different silly stories and things like that. We've had a lot of laughs too along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Good question, Chris, and thank you for joining us, Chris. If you do have to leave now, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
I just have to go. But before I do, Pete, I just wanted to say to you, just want to thank you so much for putting all the effort into developing these Zoom sessions. And today would have been a particular amount to organise. So well done to you, mate. And I'll look forward to more Zoom sessions with you next year. And I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas as well.
Thank you, Chris. Same for you, mate. And
Thank you.
Thanks for the kind words.
Merry Christmas. Be well. Happy holidays, mate.
All right. Thank you very much. And I'll go and wander off. But yeah, have a great remainder of the session.
You too, mate. Talking about your podcast, you mentioned that you've interviewed people from all over the world. Has there been like a sort of standout moment for you, something that sort of really resonated for you as a totally blind person, something that you could sort of that inspired you to keep on doing what you're doing?
I mean, simply the fact that you, Peter, took the time to invite me shows me that it matters, because the little things in life matter. That's the answer. I just got an invite today from somebody in my podcast community, and being that I'm a bilingual English French guy, anytime that I can interview a French person, which I've had by the way, I've met and known of very few French listeners and very few French podcasters, believe it or not. But anytime I interview one, it's so exciting. Somebody says to me, Aaron, I got this French guy that's blind and wants to talk to you. And I'm like, wow, we're getting somewhere. So for me, the best answer is the little things in life matter. It's the little things that go in the right direction that go all the way with me.
Absolutely. And that really ties in with what I was trying to achieve at this Zoom group, and that is to talk about things that inspire us and things that give us hope. And that's something that you do every time you interview someone. I mean, that just seems to be part of your wheelhouse, and it's really great to see. Aaron, paint us a picture about what America is like for a vision impaired and blind person getting around. Because we're talking, you may have heard it a little bit earlier, you may not have. Courtney Webeck, we were talking about accessibilities and how some countries are more accommodating than others. What's America, or what the part of America you're in? What is it like getting around and just being a blind person in general where you live?
I mean, most blind people live with friends or family, for one thing. So there's a lot of social isolation in America. America doesn't really have public transportation, so you are, in essence, dependent on someone for something, somehow, some way.
Right.
I mean, it depends. I mean, there are people that live in cities that have access to public transportation, and there's people that live in rural areas that have it a lot harder.
Yeah. Oh, completely understandable. And I guess with be talking a bit about technology as well. We have a lot of apps that help us out. We have apps that help us to let us know when buses are coming, to all sorts of different things. I mean, I'd imagine you guys would have a few apps that you rely upon that make life easier for you.
I mean, of course, we have Uber, which of course causes plenty of troubles and problems for people, but we have Uber. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to paint a picture because everybody lives a different life,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And that's something that we've definitely found out. What does Christmas look like for you, Aaron? You looking forward to it?
Well, we're gonna basically stay home. It's a very interesting fact. I'm actually a Jewish guy, so I don't celebrate Christmas, but in fact, Hanukkah falls on the same night. So that's a very strange and a very interesting thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much for joining us and for telling us about.
Thank you for having me down. Thank you for having me over there in Zoom today. Absolutely. Great pleasure to be here.
No worries. And we'll wrap it up all together now, guys. So thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you had a good time, and I'll put this up on YouTube in a little while, and I hope everybody has a fantastic Christmas and New Year's, and we'll do it all again in the new year. So thanks again. Everybody take care and enjoy.
Well, Pete, I know Christmas came up very quickly, and
Yes, Steve.
I know Christmas came up very quickly, and I don't know, it came up very quickly, and we didn't not ready for Christmas. Oh, I said we were ready for Christmas a little bit, not a lot. I mean, so it's very.
You love Christmas, don't you, Steve?
I do.
Yeah, no, you'll have a great day, mate. Yeah. Thanks again to all of our guests, Rosemary Peterswald, Courtney Webeck, Pete Vance, and Aaron Richmond, and my sister for helping me tell the dad jokes. So you guys take care, and bye for now, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Peter.
See you later.
Bye, Peter.
Hey guys. 3, 2, 1. And just before we finish up for the year, I thought let's hear from someone who's been very helpful for me with nah, cut that. All right. 3, 2, 1. And just before we finish up for the year.
Not yet, mate.
Not yet. All right, take 3. All right, and just before we finish up for the year, I thought let's hear from a very special boy who's been very helpful for me with recordings and just being a all-around positive influence. Hey, start again. And just before we finish up for the year, I thought let's hear from a very, very special person in my life. He's been very helpful. He's helped me with recordings. He's been I take a long time. I know it's without further ado, it's Ethan Arch, everybody. He has a few words he'd like to say. Eth, over to you. Talking to the mic, mate. What do you want to say?
Don't
Are you looking forward to Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about Christmas are you looking forward to?
Tonton.
Turn. Not a word.
Present.
Presents, yeah, of course.
I want a poo-poo.
No. You can't say that. And just before we finish up for the year, I thought let's hear from someone who's been really helpful with recordings and being an inspiration for me. And he's a great guy. This kid, Ethan Archer. Good morning, Ethan.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Dude, poo-poo.
No poo-poos, mate. We can't say poo-poo. Okay. Go again. And just before we finish up, I just wanted to thank everybody for all your support this year, everybody that's been liking my posts and commenting. It means so much to me, and it really does encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing. And I also have someone that's very special to me here who'd like to say hello and say Merry Christmas to everyone. Ethan, how are you, mate?
Good.
Yeah.
Can I have it?
Yeah, you can have it.
Hello, my name is Natasha.
Yeah.
Dada. Then I'm 24.
24, wow.
Hip hip hooray.
Hip hip hooray. And do you
Then
want to say
Santa.
Merry Christmas to everybody? Yeah, we'll see you next year. Take care.
Dada.
Hope Santa comes.
Santa. Okay.
All right. See you guys.
See you old late.
Hey, can't say that.